Good morning, guys. It is early morning coffee talk where we are. It's about 5:30 Pacific Standard Time when usually we're in Central Time. So we're in our right element considering the time change, but it never feels good to be up around 4 o'clock in the morning. You know what I mean? When you don't have to be. I worked many years overnight, and I guess that's a little bit different, but it's always harsh to see the clock at that hour. Just a quick fun story. We traveled yesterday for many hours with two toddlers who didn't nap. And we got to the house where we're staying, which, by the way, has great lighting for coffee talk. Who knew? And the house had no electricity. There was an electricity outage in the neighborhood 10 minutes before we arrived because apparently, and this is a rumor, neighbor rumor, so don't quote me on this, one of those metallic balloons flew into one of the power lines, I don't know exactly how, and took out power for about 100 homes, including the one that we had rented. So that was an adventure. We went to Rite Aid for about an hour and ran around because it was dark and we needed some flashlights. It was a good reminder that my husband is always prepared. He always has a headlamp with him. I do not. That's not something I travel with, but perhaps that's something I need to put on the Amazon shop for all of us, our smarter Amazon shop. I'll find which one brand that Leif likes. And he's like, you should always keep it in your suitcase. You never know when you're going to need it. And so I guess he's right again. So we have some fun news to get to today. I'm going to get through some of the hard stuff. I just kind of want to travel around the world for like 2 minutes. And then I have some really fun stories that I think we need to know about today. So here's your dose of medicine just for the day. And then we'll get to some of the fun stuff. Let's start overseas, just what's going on militarily. You're not going to see this on the site today. It's just something I'm watching. There was a big attack in Afghanistan by the Taliban on what is the intel headquarters for the government in Afghanistan. Dozens of people died. It's a really severe attack. And I'm watching that because the Taliban are saying that any sort of peace talks with the United States are not moving forward. And so I want to watch the level of violence in that country. As you know, an American was killed in a battle from wounds sustained in a battle with ISIS in Afghanistan. But we got to watch the level of violence in Afghanistan and what's happening overall there. Another thing I'm watching is that there is apparently another suicide bombing in Syria around a U.S. caravan that was with coalition forces. It doesn't look like anyone was hurt, but again, we got to watch the violence there. We know a suicide attack last week killed 4 Americans. So again, 2 places in the world where we've talked about our desire to leave, and now I just want to keep an eye on whether or not attacks or violence will continue to rise, because sometimes that happens when you telegraph your intentions. That was a big criticism by conservatives of the Obama administration of telegraphing what we're doing in the world when it comes to our military plans. It's something that President Trump promised not to do, but we see President Trump telegraphing some of our plans, and that criticism could be applied to him, which is he's talked about withdrawing from Syria, or he hasn't talked directly about peace talks, but peace talks have been discussed in official forums in Congress by military leaders. So a couple things I just think you should watch. Next thing to watch is there's a huge economic forum happening in Davos, Switzerland. You hear people talking about Davos. It's this big, it's like an economic conference where all these big wigs go. I mean, that's what's really going on. And there was talk about what's happening with the world economy. And the big takeaway from that is not the R word recession, but just like, hey, the world economy is slowing down a little bit and we're keeping an eye on it. That's the big takeaway. It's not like an economic analysis. And there's a couple reasons for that, but that's what you should know about, that there is this concerns about the world economy slowing down. And finally, back here at home, here's the last thing of serious news. The Congress is supposed to be back in session today. There's been all this talk about the Senate calling a vote on the president's new proposal to clear up the government shutdown. Ow. What's wrong? Your tummy hurts? Oh, but it's such a cute tummy. Is it because you're hungry? tummy hurts. See? The shutdown is causing anxiety and pain for everybody, including my daughter, whose tummy hurts right now just as I'm talking about it. Anyhow, what you should know is that no votes have been called on the president's new proposal by the Senate. No Democrats have come out and said, oh, I'm kind of interested in that proposal. But remember last week we talked about Senator Graham calling together some moderate Democrats in the Senate. Those moderate Democrats, some of them have met with the president. So it looks like there might be some extras thrown into that proposal to see if you got some Democrats to vote for it in the Senate. He's not here. He's away. But right now, no votes are called, no Democrats are supporting it. In the Senate, you would need at least 60 votes, which means you need a couple Democrats. But we have no votes scheduled, so we don't know what's happening. So basically, status quo. Okay, that's the serious news. With all of this going on, I totally missed, and thank you to Kit for sending me this. A lot of you guys send me some great stories, and I'm grateful because you can't see everything. I totally missed that Gladys Knight is singing this national anthem at the Super Bowl. Did you guys see that? Was I like on Planet Mars? I totally missed that. And she's really about making the national anthem, like celebrating the national anthem at a time when so many in the league have decided to kneel during it as a sign of protesting against police brutality and for other reasons. So I'm kind of excited. Gladys Knight, right? Big name, like epic, Hall of Famer. Okay, my lighting specialist is going to give us some mood lighting with that. So that's really cool. I think that's a great story we should all know about. Serena Williams won a major match against the #1 player in the Australian Open. The reason why we're watching the Australian Open is because she didn't compete last year. She has a 16-month-old baby. And Serena, who used to be #1, was dropped down in the rankings because she took time off to have a kid. I mean, that happens. And so, but she beat the #1 seed, and she's continuing on. She plays tomorrow, Wednesday, so that's kind of cool. Kind of like cool news you can use. And then here's the final fun story that I thought was really cool. I don't know if you guys saw it last week, but I saw something else from Jimmy Choo that kind of works, and here's the deal. There's this whole movement in shoes to have smart shoes. Yes. Okay, I'll get you breakfast in 2 minutes, okay? Okay. The smart shoe. Nike came out last week and said, we got this great new shoe. It's going to cost you $350. It's not going to be just like a pedometer that tracks how many steps you take. It's going to track your performance. It's going to track all sorts of things. It's not going to have laces. It's going to attach to an app, and then it's just going to tighten on your foot automatically. What this is going to give Nike an opportunity to do is watch your training performance and then make recommendations about products you should have, gear you should have, clothes you should have, but maybe also like, hey, you should try this workout. It's only in a basketball shoe now, but it's supposed to expand to other athletic shoes. And what's interesting is I looked into the shoe market, and turns out that the shoe market in America continues to grow. We continue to shop online like that's a big secret. I mean, we could have told the experts that, right? But what we're growing in the area of comfort and casual shoes, not necessarily the stilettos. However, Jimmy Choo, designer shoe brand, has a shoe app as well with their Voyager boot, which I think the price for it's like $1,300. But here's what you can do with that shoe. It attaches to an app. Again, both of these shoes, you're going to have to charge like your iPhone or anyway, I know it's really crazy. So this boot, you can track your number of steps, but you also can set a temperature to keep your feet warm. So if you're experiencing really cold weather wherever you are in the country, this is a boot that you can be like, oh, I like my feet warm at like 80 degrees. So I'm going to set that and keep your toes cozy. And it's controlled by an app. The first thought I had in my mind is like, I would totally burn my feet, like 100%. I'm sure there's some safety guards against that, but that's what I wanted to know about. And I don't want anyone tracking my athletic performance right now. But here's the trends. What companies are trying to do is get the smart technology off your wrist and into a more seamless part of your body. Okay? And so that's kind of part of this. And Samsung, now I've only seen this in a couple tech blogs, so I haven't seen it official, has applied for smart shoe technology. So they're not a shoe company, but they're applying for it. So this is what we could eventually see. My question for you guys is like, is this something that you want? Like, do you want that? Like, I like my pair of flip-flops, like I'm good. Do you want it? I don't know. Would you pay for it? I mean, it's expensive right now, but everything starts off expensive and then it gets, pedestrian for the rest of us. So anyways, I thought that was a fun story. So those are a couple fun stories I think you should know about. Oh, and I'm seeing some alerts. Just remember the Academy Awards nominations are coming down today. So you'll see who's nominated for Academy Award. Oh my gosh, I can't believe all you guys are saying no. No one wants the smart shoe. Nothing? Not even a little bit? Okay, here's what I would like. I would like, if there was smart technology that I would like, it was what we talked about a couple weeks ago from the Consumer Electronics Fair in Las Vegas show. It was the oven that kind of attaches to your schedule that tells you a recipe you can make that night for dinner. That I think is useful to me because even when I plan the best and I start the week off well, I get to like Wednesday and I have no idea what to make for dinner. And thankfully my husband cooks, so we don't starve. But that's useful. Having like recipe recommendations to me is useful. But I'm totally agree with you guys. I totally agree with you guys. I'm not sure about the smart shoe technology. Does anyone else think that we're totally becoming the Jetsons? Yeah. I would like that when you go to the conveyor belt and it like washes your hair and brushes your teeth and like you come out perfect. I would like that. That's the other smart technology I would like. Okay, I'm going to make these kids breakfast. Keep us posted if you'd like to hear on any particular news story you'd like to hear a little bit more about. Let us know. I'm going to try to keep you updated on what's happening in the government, but right now doesn't look like a whole lot. So we're going to get our vegetables every day with Smarter News, but then we're going to try to have a couple other things that make us smarter. Okay, guys. It is a beautiful day, but it's still dark outside because it's 5:45 in the morning. Have a great day, guys. Talk to you later.